So we're going to talk about this idea of conscious capitalism. And what does that mean, and how does it work, and why is it essential at this time that we start to think a little bit differently about some of these things. And there's a great myth out there, which I think is the greatest danger, which is that capitalism is a system that elevates the few at the expense of the many. That it's about a few people getting rich. I mean, this was the Marxist critique, right? He's the one who coined the word capitalism. I mean, this is considered a dirty word in many parts of the world. But what is it really? It's just freedom. And what is the impact that it has on ordinary people is, I think, the biggest unknown story here. The percentage of people living in extreme poverty has gone from 90% down to about 10 or 11% in the last 200 years. In fact, it's fallen about 30% just in the last few decades. You look at India and China alone, those two countries, 1 billion people have been lifted from extreme abject poverty all the way into the middle class for that. So we start with some basic premises about business, which is very contrary to the narrative that you hear and read about business out there. Have you ever seen a movie in which the business leader is a hero? Has that script been written yet? And I think there might be one or two, but it's extraordinarily rare. Almost every single movie which has any business guy, the business person is a villain. Now, why is that? I mean, that's just we've come up with this idea that business is about selfishness, exploitation, and greed. And in some cases, people even try to celebrate that. They say, well, the invisible hand of the market takes care of it. Greed is good. No, greed is never good. Selfishness can never be a virtue. Self-interest is essential. Selfishness is not. We have to recognize that business is good because it's based on the creation of value. I don't know of any business that has survived for the long term without creating value. Do you know of any? You have to create value for customers, of course, but also you have to create value for the people who work there. Otherwise, in a free market, they have choice. You cannot force people to work, you cannot force people to buy, you cannot force people to supply to you or invest in you. It is all based on voluntary exchange, which means both sides have to be better off under that scenario. Otherwise, why would they do it? Businesses do not have coercive power. The only institution in society that has coercive power is the government. The government can put you in jail or kill you if you do something that they think is unacceptable. It might be fine over here, but over here it gets you killed. Businesses don't have that. Now the danger, of course, is when some businesses get in bed with governments, right, what we call crony capitalism, right? That's not really capitalism. Now you look at Occupy Wall Street and all the angst about capital. Most of it is really directed at crony capitalism. Of course, people would be upset if certain businesses they're not really competing fairly. But that's not what most of businesses are. Business is also fundamentally ethical because, as I said, it's based on voluntary exchange. If you have informed human beings exchanging an illegal commodity willingly with each other, that's by definition ethical. Otherwise, they're not being forced to do it. They are better off, or they believe they are. More than that, I think business is noble. Why would we say that? Because if you think about all those human beings living for all those thousands of years, working 15, 16, 18 hours a day, just to stay alive, just to see another day, that was the condition. We are born with extraordinary, almost divine capacities, and yet most people had no opportunity to explore them. And finally, business, as I said earlier, is heroic because it is the instrument that lifts people out of poverty. Governments cannot lift people out of poverty. There's a great myth in the world today, and has been for a long time, and has done extraordinary damage. Even non-profits and religious organizations cannot lift people out of poverty. They can help, and they're certainly essential and needed in society, but business is the institution that creates wealth and enables people to rise and gives them a sustainable way of earning a livelihood. So there's a different operating model that we're discovering in certain businesses. Business needs to be profitable. Profit cannot be your purpose. That's a radical thing for some people to think about. It's like saying, I need red blood cells in order to live, but that doesn't mean the purpose of my life is to produce red blood cells. I use that in order to fulfill the purpose of my life. We need profits in order to be able to achieve the impact that we want to have on the world. If we make profits our purpose, we actually create an organization that starts to lose its creative energy, where people are not as inspired as when they are doing something that they feel is a higher purpose. Stakeholder integration, looking at all of your stakeholders and trying to simultaneously create value for everybody, not trading off one against the other, but creating win-win solutions. Conscious leadership, which is about mentoring, motivating, developing, inspiring. It's not military-style leadership and it's not mercenary leadership, it's missionary leadership. It's not about power, it's not about money, it's about service, it's about purpose, it's about people. Those are the most inspiring, most effective, and most transformational leaders that we have. And a culture that is built upon trust and authenticity and caring rather than fear and stress, which is what the norm is at most companies. So this is about why we exist, what we do, who we are, and how we do things. If you do it right, it becomes a virtuous cycle. Right? You have a higher purpose, inspires people, attracts people to come and work there. You do extraordinary things. Customers love it, buy a lot. You get, high returns. You can then invest back in the community, etc. And then, that virtuous cycle continues. This clock doesn't run the other direction. Okay, you can't say we're going to make a lot of money and then do good things with it. No, you have to do the things that create value to begin with. So conscious capitalism is an idea that we believe it works for everybody. It works, for customers, for employees. You have higher profits, you've got lower turnover rates of employees, you have more meaning and purpose, you have fewer levels of management that are needed, there's less legal costs, there's less product returns, all kinds of sort of tactical things. It's a system in which it is possible that everybody can win. And that's what we want. Business is the ultimate win-win game. It's not about winners, losers. This is not sports. This is not a war. This is business where we create value. That's what business does.